Hi, and welcome to Three Questions With. Got my buddy Sam with us. Sam's a realtor. We're going to talk a little bit about the market right now. Hey, Sam, welcome to the show.
Hey, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
So, Sam, I was talking to a friend this weekend, and they told me that they have a friend whose strategy on real estate was they're going to list and sell their house and then go out to try to find the house. The goal trying to take away the contingency. What's your opinion on that? Is that a logical strategy?
Yeah, so if I understand right, you're saying they're going to list it, they're going to sell it, no, completely, and
Yep,
then worry about finding a house. And so
absolutely.
if you can do that, I think actually that's ideal as long as you're good with, you have a place to go, right? Whether it's parents, friends, temporary rental, whatever it may be. And I say that because it definitely makes it a lot smoother, less stressful on both sides. Buyers going into a transaction where you're saying it's contingent on you finding suitable housing, that can make kind of put things in jeopardy until you actually find it. And so nobody really knows if the deal's going through. It can turn off some buyers as well. Not to mention, if you do that, you're kind of putting yourself at a disadvantage when you go to buy your new house because other sellers that you're looking at, they're not going to want to take that risk either. At like, if your house ends up falling through, you won't be able to purchase theirs. So having your house already sold will put you in a better position to go ahead and purchase your new one, that one that you find that you really like. So if you can do that, I would actually suggest that that would be the better way to go.
But like you said, as long as you have a place to stay, because
Yeah, I mean,
it can take a while,
yeah,
and
especially in this
leave.
market, like there's so much competition and things. It can take longer than you would initially expect, and so you have to have that expectation. Whether it's a rental or if you're staying with friends and family, like you just have to be prepared for the first week or two or month is okay, but then like after a while it could get a little different. So
Yeah.
if you're good with that, I see it does happen all the time. People are okay with that. I would do it. If not, there's certainly ways to make it happen simultaneously. You just have to be very on top of things, have a good game plan, and know what to do when things don't go according to plan because they probably won't.
So Sam, you brought up a great point about finding the next home,
Yeah.
because I was talking to a friend and he was like, "I'm starting to take it personal, Sam. I've been on 5 houses and I didn't get any of them." And he goes, and I just see my temptation to maybe make a bad financial decision, offering over asking price, waiving inspections, doing all this stuff just so I can win. He goes, but I know there's a lot of risk in doing that. How do you win, Sam?
So the first thing if you're looking to buy a house, the first thing you need to do is have a real conversation with your lender and the realtor. Because I have my clients now. You get pre-approved or you want to spend X amount, you need to be very aware of what is actually selling in that range. Because just because let's say you're qualified for up to 400, there are 400. You used to look up to 400, right? Now with the way price homes are being bidded up, you probably want to start lower and give yourself room to be able to bid up should you decide you want to and you find that right house. So it's a little bit different than in other markets. So that's one thing. You want to have a very realistic expectation of, okay, this house is going to get bidded up, like where we stand with our budget and things like that. That's the first thing. The second thing is when you do find something in your range that you do really like, there are ways to get creative. Obviously, at the end of the day, price is a big thing, but we are seeing sellers that are not always taking the highest priced offer because a lot of them are not appraising now. And so you have to take that into consideration. And you as the buyer choose whether or not you want that protection. Now, most banks will require it, but there are people that are willing to pay over appraisals. There are ways to still have inspections but mitigate risk on both sides to the seller and the buyer so that there's some compromise up front, some agreements made that buyer may be willing to cover certain things from inspection or whatever out of the gate. And that kind of puts sellers at ease, maybe gives you the edge over some other offers. There's a lot of different unique strategies other than price that you can build into an offer to appeal to a seller. And quite honestly, like having your agent reach out to that listing agent and say, hey, what's important to the seller? Like, is it contingent on them finding suitable housing, and is a flexible closing date important? Is a 30-day closing day important? Is different flexibilities? Are they, have different requests? Whatever it may be, building in that up front can definitely help you. And then obviously not having a home you need to sell, will put you in a better place. Not having too many contingencies or anything like that will also put you in a better place. So it really depends on the property and on the situation. But I would say the main thing is having a realistic expectation, knowing what you're looking at, and then trying to just appeal to the seller as much as possible above and beyond just the price.
So Sam, at least in my neighborhood, the market is amazing. I've had 4 people within my street, next street over, list their house, and it didn't seem like it was on the market for a day. I mean, literally all of them were gone in a week. Is the market really that smoking hot right now?
Yeah, I mean, it really is a true, I mean, rates are very good, so that helps buyers and gives them an increased buying power, and that is very helpful. But more often than not, the sellers, it's a strong seller's market. Homes are not lasting. Um, they are going quickly. They're going for above asking almost always. And things are just kind of on fire. We're seeing that it's a lot of out of state transactions too. A lot of people coming from cities, Boston, from New York, all of that, and they want more land, they want more space, and we're seeing that in the last few months just big time. And so that is part of the reason why it's so competitive and why the prices are still so high. But yeah, it is very, if you've thought about selling or you're considering it, I mean, this is arguably the best time ever to sell.
Like I said, that's what's interesting, is that I've had a couple people who just all of a sudden looked and said, you know what, the market is amazing. We're really thinking about selling for a couple of years, but they just look at it and say, this seems to be an amazing time to do it. It is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And there's, people looking to downsize or something, and they can't necessarily, they haven't found something they, really like, but they want to take advantage of, what they could get for their home now. Um, they found places to rent, whatever, and it could be a year, 2 years, whatever, but they're happy, they're happy temporarily. They take advantage of the market now, and then, see how, what the market's like in the future, and buy something when they find something that they like. But yeah, no, there has not been any better time to sell right now. And we're going into fall. It'll be interesting how long it lasts. It's definitely was a delayed spring summer season, right? Usually, early summer, things spike way up. We didn't see that necessarily, but now the last month or so we have, and so we'll see how long it lasts. But yeah, things are crazy right now.
So Sam, let's have a little real talk for people like my age, who when
Yeah,
I bought a house 30 years ago, we looked at 2 houses, we bet on the first one, it didn't work out. Second one bid, boom. I mean, it was over in like
yeah,
a week.
yeah.
Not probably going to happen now is with the competition. It's not like it was back when I bought a house 30 years ago. Hey, Sam, how much do you want for the house? All right, here we go. We shook hands and the deal was done. A little more complicated right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sellers are getting, anywhere from 5 to 25 plus offers. And you don't necessarily think about it, but when you're on that side of things, like, it can be overwhelming just trying to sort through. I mean, it's a good problem to have a lot of times, but there's so many offers. And I always encourage buyers, especially in this market, you want to always put your best foot forward in the beginning from the get-go. It used to be like there's a lot of times where you'd put an offer in, and the seller might negotiate, come back to you, say, hey, we have multiple, give me your best. And right now, like, I mean, things are going, they're getting an offer and they're taking which one they like. Sometimes they come back to you, but you don't always get that second chance. So it's very important nowadays to put your best foot forward, be aggressive, have your agent stay in contact with that other agent to make sure that your offer has been seen and that it stays at the top of the pile. But yeah, there's definitely more, you have to fight for it to really get it.
Because Sam, you pretty much answered the next question I had. Is I've seen that final offers by tonight at midnight. I'm like, how do you know what to bid? Because you're sitting there going, I don't want to lose this house over $300 or something.
Yeah.
But I don't. It's like playing poker, I guess, or something. I don't know what your cards are, so I'm looking at going, I really want this house, Sam. I don't want to lose it over a couple dollars. How do I know how to win?
Yeah, so there's a few things. One, obviously, like for clients, I'm always looking at comps and like what has sold recently in those areas, wherever we are, to see, what is a realistic, where at least have things been. It's been unique in this market, things are going up. And so that's sometimes a lagging indicator, but at least getting an idea of what has sold. And then there are ways to, first of all, I have a real conversation with the client, like how bad do you want the house? Is it something where you're willing to overpay for it? I mean, if you're only going to be there a few years, you don't want to be underwater on it, if things
No,
change. So I've had a lot of those conversations where sometimes it's not worth it to them at a price at what they'd have to pay, but for others it is. And then there's other things where you can put you can offer whatever price, and you can do different things like escalation clauses or something where you're willing to bid over other offers up to a certain amount and things like that. I have seen that in my general opinion, it's better to just put it out there from the get-go how much you're going to offer, but there are different ways to kind of protect yourself, if you don't want to lose it over $1,000, but also not, overpay for it necessarily. But it really depends on the situation, and some of it you don't always know, right? And that can be the frustrating part. But you just have to, be consistent and have that mentality going into it, that it's not, like you said, going to be a one and done or something like that.
so Sam, how do people reach out to you? How do they learn more, my friend?
Yeah, so they can go to my website. It's www.southernnewhampshirehomefinder.com, southernNHhomefinder.com. They can give me a call, 603-339-2429, or they can email me as well, sboghigian@kw.com.
Sam, really appreciate taking a few minutes to jump on the show, and as always, thanks for being my friend.
Hey, anytime, Kevin. My pleasure.